Good afternoon, peace and blessings. Happy Tuesday to each and every single person that is in attendance. This is Assembly of Excellence. Let's get into it.
If you get to the point where all you want to do is be successful as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. And I'm here to tell you, number one, that most of you say you want to be successful, but you don't want it bad. You just kind of want it. You don't want it bad and then you want to party. You don't want it as much as you want to be cool. Most of you don't want success as much as you want to sleep. Some of you love sleep more than you love success. And I'm here to tell you today, if you're going to be successful, you got to be willing to give up sleep.
Hello again, beautiful people. Glory, praise, and honor to the Most High, the Creator. Thank you all so much for your continued support, for your love, for your thoughts. We are back. We are blessed. We are truly in a season of change. And I'm grateful and I'm extremely humble for the opportunity to be able to speak with you guys, to be in a position to use this platform for good, for enlightening and bringing people out of dark places. Before we proceed into this live stream, I want to give my flowers to my content creators, to my writers, anyone who is going through something right now, struggling with their confidence, struggling with their calling, their purpose. This is the season where we need to be lifting each other up. And I'm so glad that I'm in a position right now to have these open forums and conversations where we can actually break the stereotypes, the shackles, and the restrictions that's keeping us from our fullest potentials. Our guest today is Jason Mathews, a true luminary in the world of leadership, blending a remarkable 22 years of sales experience with 15 years trailblazing leadership expertise. He's not just an author, but a visionary, a mentor, and a catalyst for change. With a passion for igniting meaningful connections and reshaping the way we perceive leadership, Jason has embarked on a journey that is set to redefine the very essence of leading with purpose. Throughout his remarkable career, he has witnessed the ebb and flow of leadership trends, and today he's here to unravel the secrets that bridge the gap between sales leadership and transcendent transformation. Jason isn't just a theorist, he's a hands on practitioner who understands that leadership isn't about titles or authority, it's about influence, connection, and lasting impact. Join us as we explore his profound insights, his transformative strategies, and his unwavering commitment to creating leaders who don't just manage, but inspire, motivate, and elevate those around him. I welcome Jason Mathews.
Wow, thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate it.
No trouble at all. Thank you for being in attendance with us today. How is everything going?
Everything is going really well. My wife and I are getting ready for the holiday season. Her kids are going to be away in Mexico, so it's just going to be her and I. Um, I celebrated my birthday yesterday, big 4-4, woohoo! And just yeah, just enjoying life, loving how things always seem to be unfolding, and the synchronicities that keep on happening, like being brought to your awareness. It was a real blessing, and the way we've been able to connect and find out how we can really add value to your audience. It has been I always enjoy being able to connect with others in a way that does more than just provide a talking point. It provides real impact to people.
Totally agree. First and foremost, happy related birthday.
Thank you.
Secondly, ble- blessings to you and your family. It's such a rare occasion to come across any couple, whether or not you're in a relationship or you're actually walking down the aisle and you have the ring and the time put in successfully through good and bad to be able to proudly say, me and my wife or me and my other half, without there being a but behind the asterisk. So, congratulations on that part. I hope you had a good birthday. I don't know if you already celebrated it. I don't know if you have any plans moving forward with it, but I hope you enjoy it, man, with all your heart's content.
Thank you. Thank you. No real plans. I used to put a lot of emphasis on my birthday. Think I used to call it my personal um, national holiday, and I would oftentimes um, plan that day or plan everything else around what I was going to do that day. And as I've gotten older, I've realized how self-serving that was. And so it's more about, and instead of finding out what others can do for me, which is common with birthdays, it's your day. It's the day that you get recognized. Why wouldn't you want to have that really exemplified for that one day? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm a big proponent of that. I've come to the point in my life where my birthday is more about finding the opportunities where I can not only find pleasure in my life, but where I can really double down on ways that I can enrich the lives of others. And I find it a time where I actually am able to say, okay, last year I was able to do this. It's almost like my own personal New Year's resolution. It's like, okay, so I was able to do this up to this point. What else am I capable of for the year to come? And using this time as more of a planning exercise of being able to understand how I can help others.
I tell you one thing. I stopped celebrating my birthday around 16, 17 years old. I don't know if it was because the meaning behind it didn't really have the same impact. You know, when you think about your birthday, you think about family, you think about friends, you think about camaraderie, laughs, good food, probably getting into a little scuffle with your cousins and things of that nature, playing outside, being rambunctious, blowing the birthday candle, making your wish in your head for things to come in the future. That's what I always attributed to birthday.
Mm.
But then at some point when I was kind of just growing up, looking at how the conditions of my neighborhood was and seeing how my family actually had to balance bills, and I had to look at real life and separate my needs and my joys from the realities, it kind of took away from celebrating it anymore because I'm looking at it now as if it's more transactional. It's more about getting gifts and what a person can do for you and things. And once it became that, I just didn't see the need to put so much emphasis on it. Now it's more or less I'm thanking God that I'm still here after all of the things that's going on in our communities and even in my own house, to still wake up and see one more day and one more birthday is the ultimate win for me. So I guess it really just depends on you and how people tend to celebrate. I find if I'm going to celebrate my birthday, all I need is a nice meal, a nice movie, um, maybe just a friend here or there, a nice little conversation, and I'm good to go. Maybe I might engage in something that I find to be a hobby, but the little things matter to me.
Absolutely. And I think you and I have a very similar view on birthdays from what you said, because like you had mentioned, the the idea of what other people can do for you is a very self-serving enterprise, and it doesn't really do anything lasting. The birthday wishes I used to have were like, what can I get? What can I enjoy? Me. And as I've become more of someone who really wants to help other people become better leaders, I realize that has to start with me first. I have to be willing to demonstrate what real leadership looks like. And it has nothing to do with who you are. Leadership doesn't have to do anything about you at all. It has nothing to do with your position, your your authority, your anything about you. It's all about the ability of how you are able to impact others. But in order to impact others, you first have to understand how you first can be someone worth following. You have to demonstrate the qualities that others are looking for, that they want to follow. And in doing that, you have to give up the idea that you as an individual matter, because it's not about you as an individual, it's you as an agent of change. It's you as someone who is able to positively impact the lives of others and let them understand or give them the idea that maybe doing something else would be more beneficial than what they've done in the past.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've always struggled in that department. Um, Being an introvert
Hmm.
played a lot into defining who I was going to be later on as a an adult male. We remove all of the ethnicities and all the extra, being a adult male coming from, for one, the neighborhood, two, how I was raised, their belief systems. Would I be applying what I was taught in the household to my everyday living as I got older, or would the influence of the neighborhood kids and the peer pressure and what the news and all these outsourced places would provide, would I be following their guide system, or would I be creating my own blueprint? And growing up, I had a mixture of everything, some good, some bad. But ultimately, everything that you just spoke on is pretty spot on. When it's all said and done, I don't know if everyone will be susceptible to the idea that they can actually walk in those specific shoes where they're responsible for other people. Some people would prefer to be in the background, but I don't think you necessarily have to, like you said, be a president or someone with a lot of money to be influential. I speak on this all the time. Just your voice alone is going to be a key component into how someone chooses to live their life, whether or not they're trying to break free of something or they're trying to venture off into a new project or get out of their comfort zone. So I think it's real important, and I found it very divine in the timing because I don't use Facebook very much, but since I've been embarking on this mission to kind of communicate and reach out while also healing myself, start using my platforms a little bit more intently with an actual purpose, not just to be on there just to look at pictures and memes and things of that nature. And when I came across a advertisement and I just posted in there, hey, I'm doing such and such, not really knowing the odds of anyone actually reading my post. And then when you came across it and you responded, I was not really using Facebook like that. I'm predominantly on Instagram, um, and so on and so forth. So when I just happened to get back on it, I saw you had messaged me. I was like, all right, this is definitely timing. You couldn't ask for a better way of alignment between two people who have never met, never had a conversation before. So this is today. I wanted to do an earlier live just specifically for this because you spoke on some things that you were looking to do moving forward with your calling and things, and I wanted you to have the opportunity to speak on those things, um, your background, anything that you feel might be pertinent to the watchers or the people who will watch later on.
I appreciate that. So I'll just go ahead and take it away. And if you have anything that you want to add or some kind of comment you want to give, let me know, and I'll make sure to make space for that. Um, so before I start, with everyone that's listening, there's two questions that I have for you. The first one was, when was the last time you truly felt inspired by someone? And the follow-up to that is, what is it about them that made you feel inspired? And the reason why I ask those two questions is because when we go through life, the thing that we are looking for most, at least to the people that I surround myself with, is what kind of impact or what kind of purpose can we really lean into? What can we really do to enrich our lives and enrich the lives of others? And this was a question that really hit home when I left the Army National Guard in Massachusetts. I spent 10 years in the Army. 4 of them was as enlisted, and 6 of them was as a commissioned officer. And when I came back from Afghanistan in 2011, I knew that I was fed up with the Army. I knew that I had had enough. I'd gotten everything that I needed out of them. I was only a second lieutenant at the time, but I believed that there was nothing else the Army could really give me. And it had nothing to do with the people, the opportunities, or the system itself. It had everything to do with the leaders that I had interacted with and the way in which those interactions came about. And for the most part, I was very disappointed with how leadership was, both in the military and in the business sector, because I've seen a cross-pollination of leadership styles that go between both. And it got made me very disappointed or disenfranchised, I guess is a better word for it, in the way that the leadership was done. And at this point, I had just started on my my quest to understand what leadership really was. I've always had leadership positions. I've been in sales since I was 21 years old. I'm 44 now, and I've always been able to talk to people. But when I listen to others and I really understand what it is they want to do, I found that their desires or their plans were very short term. And I kept on asking myself, well, what is the point of that? What is that going to do? Like, what kind of thing is that really going to lead to? And very few of them had any kind of answers for me. And even in the military, when someone would tell me to do something that was not tied to a mission or to a specific goal, the question I would ask is why? And apparently, as senior leadership, they don't like that question. I think it's because they really don't have a good answer. And they go back to the answer that our parents give to us that we all love, which is because I said so. And that answer was never enough. But it was the only answer I was getting. It's like, because I said so, shut up and do what I told you. And because they have a position of power, they believe that power granted them a certain authority to be in a role in leadership that they really didn't deserve. It's because they didn't understand what leadership really was for them. And it took me a while to be able to articulate this. And if I was back in the Army, knowing what I knew now, it'd be very easy for me to communicate with these leaders that were just saying because I said so. And what I would tell them is your rank is not your permission to act in a way that is self-serving. It does not give you the permission to do just what you want to do because you want to do it. Your rank is a symbolism of responsibility. The responsibility that you have to a position because of those that you serve in your leadership in your leadership role. And I think if more people understood that the responsibilities that they have is the permission they have for leadership, not their authority, but their responsibilities. Meaning that if you are a parent, your responsibility is to raise a child that is going to turn into an adult who is going to make certain choices that impact the world around them, impact their lives, and impact the lives of others. That is the hope. And we see time and time again, I'm sure that you've seen in your life, how there's many parents who treat their children as if they are property or an extension of themselves. And what ends up happening is they end up stymieing or limiting the growth of their children because they want to maintain control. In business, we see managers and C-suite executives who make decisions based on what is going to be best for them, how they're going to have the best return, rather than figuring out what their real responsibility is, which is to the company itself, to those who drive results for that company. The ones that actually do the real work are the frontline workers. The ones that make sure the frontline workers work well are the managers. And helping them understand that their roles are vitally important and in ensuring that they have everything they need in order to do the job effectively is the job of an executive or of the business owner. That's really the only job. Even in relationships, when we are with someone that we demonstrate that we love, there's a responsibility that we have in that relationship. We have a responsibility to build and maintain trust. We have a responsibility to provide communication that is both honest as well as uplifting and encouraging. We have the responsibility of being someone that our significant other can rely on, so that they feel like they are in a safe space and that what they do can help not only them grow, but also help the relationship flourish, which then allows them to demonstrate themselves as a very capable and a good human being. And so when you look at the principles that are underlying all of these things, there are three key principles that are there that help leadership become the driving force for this kind of responsibility, which are the ability to be of service, the ability to be an inspiration for change, as well as someone who knows what is to come and what the goal is, and then the ability to adapt to situation, adversity, and challenges in a way that makes it that it isn't so structured and rigid. It's a little bit more flexible. It's a little bit more relaxed. It allows for instant changes to be made because it's necessary. And when you have a leadership style that has these three things, well, for parents, it allows them to understand that their duty is to raise their child in the best way possible, to give the best education, to provide the best opportunities, and allow for risk and failure so the child knows how to grow and develop as a good human being. The goal is just that, to help a child grow into a good human being. And the adaptability is to understand how that how their leadership, how their parenting style is going to allow them to respond to the challenges that a child has. If they scrape their knee, if they're being bullied, if they're having a hard time in school, whatever it might be, knowing how to adapt to those in order to maintain that ability to help that child grow into an adult that is going to make life choices of their own. And you can apply also in the ways of relationships and in business as well. You can probably see how those play out. The goal is to be able to create a dynamic style of interacting with people that is based on knowing what others need, being able to relate to them, relate with them where they are, and communicate how you can help them in a way that makes them want to grow. This is why leadership is all about influence. It's not about position of power. It's not about control. It's your ability to connect with others, create long-lasting relationships, and use those long-lasting relationships to show the benefit of how your interactions can increase their success in whatever way that's necessary, whatever that looks like, whether it be monetary success, whether it be emotional success, whatever it might be. Understanding that the way that you interact with another person, in that interaction, there is a responsibility for you to understand how you're going to impact that person's life. And through that interaction, what that's going to mean for them and what that's going to mean for you, as well as other people who might be witnessing this. When Dr. Wayne Dyer was alive, he was a great servant leader. He wrote many books and he had many different talks. Just a great human being. And he talks about how the interactions we have with others, especially when we do something good, it has an impact not only on you as the person doing good and the person that you've done good for, but also those who witness the good being done. There's an impact on them as well. So imagine the impact you have in the lives of everyone around you when you take action, when you decide to do something. And the people that you are interacting with directly, as well as those who are witnessing the interaction taking place, what is it doing for them? And the responsibility you have to ensure that what you are doing has that impact and taking ownership for that, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. Knowing that what you are doing, there is a responsibility you have for the actions that you take, and showing that what you are doing is something that you can be proud of, that you can take pride in, and that you can own and say, I did this. Or if you mess up, like we human beings often do, own that as well. Say, yeah, I messed up and I learned from it, because there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. And knowing that the feedback you get from any kind of situation is going to be useful. It's going to be something that not only you can experience, but you can also learn from. What happened? What was the ideal circumstance? What actually happened? How can I improve? and taking responsibility for your shortcomings as well as for the things that you do well are what make for a remarkable leader, because the responsibility is the primary part of that leadership. And then also developing the boundaries, the things that you're going to put in place. Say, I'm going to focus only on this, and anything that does not support this, I'm going to exclude. The things that do not support my desire to lead effectively, to impact the lives of others in a positive way, and to leave a lasting legacy that others can be proud of and that I can say I accomplished something. If it doesn't support that, I'm going to exclude. And I'm going to keep on excluding. And if it tries to come in, I'm going to deal with it. But knowing that when you have that focus of the responsibilities that you have for your actions and how you're going to impact others, and understanding what your boundaries need to be to support that and to ensure that you continue doing that, are probably the most important parts of being a leader. It's the very first thing you need to be able to understand, harness, and really develop in order to be an effective leader. So I want to pause here because I'd love to hear any kind of feedback that you might have, or feedback from others, or what others might be commenting on.
Well, for starters, very well articulated and expressed. You touched on a number of things that I think us as a society tend to take for granted. Um, the severity in which we have removed this urgency to operate in a more healthy demeanor has it's just overwhelmingly taken over the population dramatically. So much so to the point that you see examples of it more bold and more evident every single day between our kindergarten children all the way to the top of the mountain, where we have people in positions of power who are not the greatest examples of what it takes to be held responsible for the people with their decision makings, for the laws that they sign off on, for the advertisements that they broadcast daily on television after your favorite shows, all the way down to the school board in the classrooms with the teachers, who are one of the main sources of the learning experience. You send your children off for 8 hours a day, depending on their activities outside of the regular class curriculum. The teachers have the responsibility of making sure that outside of the household, they are giving them key pieces, tools, history, everything that you see in these books, even things that they don't teach in the books. They're set there to make sure that when they get out of school and they graduate and it's time for them to get out into the work field and into the world, they are prepared intellectually to be able to handle certain situations, dealing in whatever field that they decide to go in. Everything that you said encompasses that. It goes back into the household as well, because we see it every day where mothers and fathers will actively promote and use their children as shields to negate any type of accountability for the things that they outsource to the world. And people have to understand there's thousands, millions of people every day consuming the internet, consuming these text messages, these pictures, these videos, your advice, your laws. They're looking at your examples. They're looking at how you walk and how you talk and how you deal with people every single day. And because the lack of people saying, hey, this isn't right, or this could be done a better way, in a more loving way, or we're not really saying to these folks or correcting people where they should be corrected. I think correction is a huge piece that's missing, especially if we're talking about what leadership is. You have to have correction.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take that part out of it, what you have is just every indecent thing that you can possibly imagine being plastered everywhere. That's why nothing really surprises me when I see children being disrespectful to their elders. Nothing surprises me when people like us have these conversations and they get shadow banned and they get kicked off of all social media platforms because we're talking against things that will probably hurt them from monetizing or gaining off of the debilitating aspect of their assignment. The real true assignment is to make sure that we don't educate each other so that we continue to walk in ignorance, walk in fear, walk in doubt. We don't believe in ourselves. We don't believe in our talents. We don't trust people. We don't even trust ourselves. Why? Because of the programming, because maybe our parents didn't have the best examples. Maybe they didn't really show us the greatest way. Maybe they didn't stay on us tough enough. Maybe our friends weren't really friends and they led us down the wrong path. Maybe someone spoke a word over our life that negatively affected us and we slipped into a hole that we couldn't climb out of. Everything kind of coincides when you actually think about it. So I love the fact that you say responsibility. We have to hold a person to a certain standard. For example, you speaking right now, someone's going to listen and someone's going to absorb what you're saying. It's going to be a seed planted in somebody, and they're going to take that with them, and then it's going to slowly grow in their heart and in their mind because people tend to want to be better. They want to be happier. They want to be more prosperous. And a lot of times it's hard to achieve that goal when you have that blockage. But then once you start to water your seeds and you plant the right things in fresh soil to where it can actually be nourished and it can take root to something, then what you have is someone is coming out of their doubt, their confusion. They begin to believe in themselves more. They begin to practice a healthier um, way of working, conversating, talking to themselves, speaking life over themselves, dealing with their loved ones, just even removing certain toxic traits and attitudes and things going on in their head that for the longest time they thought was the correct way. So
Hmm.
yeah, that's just my take on it, man.
You're very you definitely have the the spirit of what I'm talking about. It's great to see a like-minded person that I can interact with and share these uh, these thoughts with. It's really great to see. I love the way that you've promoted your channel as well. Um, what I've noticed is that one thing you said is correction is absolutely necessary, and I agree with that. And with understanding that correction is necessary, it's also important to understand how that correction happens. So it's accepted with loving appreciation rather than met with defensiveness. Because you can give all the correction in the world, but if a person resists against it, it doesn't do any good. So it has to be something that someone wants to take in and wants to use, and they want to see that they can be better. And one thing that I've noticed is that the more we understand how we as people behave, and the more we're willing to look at how we can influence others through our ability to relate with one another, we are much more able to create the kind of dynamic that we want to see in others. We can offer the correction if necessary in a way that is appreciated, where a person who is being corrected doesn't feel like they're being shamed, or they're being told that they're not good enough, or they're being rejected. But what's happening is that they understand that what if you were to correct me about something, I realize because of the way that you've approached me, I realize that you actually have my best interests at heart. You want to see me succeed. And the reason why you correct what you correct is because you know that there's something that good that can be done, and you know that there's something that I'm offering that can be good. It just needs to be the perspective needs to be shifted a little bit. And if we can approach each other in that way, namely through understanding what we really need to know through the interactions, because when we exhibit behavior, we exhibit that behavior because we need something. There's something that we are either lacking or something that we are looking to acquire through our behavior. And because of that, I've come to terms with the fact that everyone manipulates. And manipulation is a form of survival. We manipulate in order to be recognized, to be seen, and to have our needs fulfilled. And there are many ways to do that. You manipulate through your word, through your poetry, through the things that you say, through the interactions you have with other creatives. Other creatives also manipulate through those avenues. We manipulate through the interactions we have with other people. And not all manipulation is bad. Manipulation just is. The definition of manipulation is taking something and transforming it into something else. That's it. And by understanding that through our interactions with other people, we shift their perspective into something that is more aligned with our own perspective. That necessarily isn't bad, because we need to do that in order for other people to appreciate us and to gain the appreciation of other people, to create understanding and create consensus. Manipulation is absolutely necessary. How you manipulate and why you manipulate. Now, those are the things that really need to be talked about. Because if you are manipulating for your own self-serving needs, that's when it becomes negative. That's when it becomes the things that manipulation is really known for. The negative connotations. Oh, he's manipulating me, so he must be wanting something, or she's manipulating me because she wants to get her way, or whatever it might be. When you manipulate for the purpose of bettering that person, not necessarily for your own benefit, but for their benefit, it becomes ethical. It becomes something that you do that others can buy into. Whenever we read a book, listen to music, read poetry, look online, consume the media, whatever it might be, we're consenting to the idea that we are going to be manipulated in some way. And by manipulating through consent, which is what ethical manipulation is. By them understanding what the outcome is going to be through that manipulation and consenting to it, it becomes something that is worthwhile. We're able to shift their perspective because and do so that it's very in a way that's very effective because it's been consented to. The people that we're interacting with, they know that the manipulation is going to happen and they're okay with it because they know what the purpose is, or they have an idea of what's going to happen, or they want to shift their perspective in some way. And the more we understand how people behave, the more we understand how we can manipulate them ethically and how we can create conversations that shift perspectives in a positive way so that everyone walks away from that interaction feeling like they've gained something rather than something's been taken away.
I like there's two things that you said that I want to magnify. Identifying the true definition of correction and manipulation. Those are the two things that piqued my radar. Because I think a lot of times people confuse and conflate the two with opposing definitions and what they truly mean. If I love you, I care about you. That means that somewhere inside of me, I know that if you walk down that alley, something's bad is about to happen. If we have a conversation and I sense that you are lying or you're withholding information and I decide to call you out on it, that is a form of love. That is a form of the person actually caring about the destructive path you are about to choose. And before you choose that path to go down, I have thrown my entire self in the direction of destruction to keep you from going that way. But you confuse what I'm doing with control, with self-serving manipulation, because it comes off as if I'm trying to be an authoritative figure or I'm trying to keep you from joys and pleasures or I'm trying to stop you from reaching a certain plateau in your life. The way that the world has conditioned our thinking, you'll look at me like I'm the enemy. The entire time I'm trying to save you from something. So if I say to you, hey, I don't think you want to have a conversation with that person until you calm down, you get your thinking together, you kind of breathe, take a walk, maybe process what just happened before you allow your emotions to take over completely. If I take the time out, first of all, a person who takes time out to really unfold and unpack everything that they just witnessed and they listened to, that's an entirely different level of responsibility and charity. We are so desensitized to what is real and what is not, to the point to where everything is a defense mechanism. You can tell me that I can improve on A, B, and C, and I'm going to take it like, okay, I see what he's talking about. Okay, I can listen to a comment or two. I can read them. I'm too soft spoken. Maybe I'm not more aggressive. Maybe okay, I'll take that into consideration moving forward. Because the fact of the matter is, we are trying to be better than the person we were the day before. At least I
Mm-hmm.
am. I want the same thing for my tribe and anyone who has an ear and eye to see. Now, in terms of manipulation, that hit a spot. Manipulation, the 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 holy grail of self servitude and being your own false god. Because that's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you say survival mode. Because when I think about survival mode, it comes off as if you're scared of the possibilities beyond your knowledge, your self proclaimed degrees that you gave yourself. You are scared to walk outside of the little bubble that you created for yourself on the odds that you might fail or you might experience some type of discomfort that opposes a lifestyle that has been very delicate but pleasing for you and it worked for you for a very long time. You
Mm-hmm.
lived a certain way for a while, so why would you abandon that for something that you don't know nothing about? So in order for you to remain comfortable, you hide behind insecurities, all these different things, and you manipulate your environment, the people that are around you. I don't know, and that's another thing. Sometimes you know whether or not you're doing it intently or you're not really aware of what you're actually doing. But when you are purposely manipulating someone or something in order for you to remain safe and comfortable in your way of thinking and operating, what you're really doing is hurting yourself
Mm-hmm.
because it's a temporary fix. It doesn't last very long. Eventually, all of those things that you're doing is going to reflect back on you through people, through business, through relationships, through friendships, anything that you decided to lay your hands on because you decided that you were going to live this way and you were scared to try something different, you're going to continue to repeat the same cycle over and over and over again. And then you're in the process, what you're doing is you're treating people who actually care about you horribly wrong. You got them completely misguided. You're looking at them entirely in the wrong ways. You disregard their words, their opinions, their feelings. You treat them like dirt. But then on the flip side, you still longing for a emptiness that you can't feel. Holding on to something that you think is providing you the fulfillment that you are desperately still seeking. Ain't it funny and it's weird, right? You you chasing after something to make you whole, and you're hiding behind that temporary, but you're still seeking something else
Mm-hmm.
while simultaneously pushing it away.
So the difference between um, I don't know if you I don't know if I was interrupting you or not. I apologize. But the difference between what you're talking about as far as being manipulative, which is exactly what you are referring to, the ability to change someone's perspective in order to remain safe and remain comfortable in your own way of doing things. The difference between that and what I'm talking about is the knowledge that when you are interacting with another person, manipulation is happening. Period. And the manipulation has to happen on both sides. Your perspective is shifting, and you're changing the perspective of another person. And what you're doing, the reason why you're doing that is to create relatability. You're creating a way of being able to relate to another person and have them relate to you at the same time. But if all you're doing is creating a scenario where someone is going to um, where you are going to transform someone's perspective just to see your way of thinking without giving any ground yourself, without being willing to come out of your own comfort zone, that is harmful. Absolutely. It's harmful for you, it's harmful for them. But the manipulation I'm talking about is the one where everyone knows what's going on. There is a sense of transparency about why you are there. Well, I'm here to talk with you because I want to share my message. At the same time, I know you're going to have a perspective that I'm really excited about and I want to hear. And I also want to see what other people have to say about it as well, because understanding where they're coming from and how they react to it is very important, because it helps me understand how I can further approach the situation. Your comments helped me to clarify further what I meant by the ethical manipulation, by being transparent, by honoring the fact that people are going to make their own choices and being okay with that, by demonstrating the benefit that happens between for you and for them, by being empathetic to how they feel and desiring to create a long-lasting relationship. You do those five things and you have every interaction with those five things in mind. It can't possibly be self-serving, because it is allowing for an interaction where everyone has their eyes wide open going into that interaction, knowing that perspectives on both sides are going to change.
Yeah, it's a very eye-opening world where until you actually the thing that I want anyone to do in these scenarios where we have these discussions is to rest your brain, to breathe deep, and then kind of just put yourself in a position to where you can hear and actually process and listen to every angle and perspective, because we tend to do horribly in those positions. Usually there's one person who is a better listener than the other person, where they can just actually take in what you're saying, consider your feelings and everything that comes with it, and they can better give you a response. Most people are listening to rebuttal. It's not about listening to rebuttal. It's about coming to understanding and a common ground.
Mhm.
It's about finding the resolve within the concern and then building on it. And once you're able to do that, you have no idea how far you can go with that. So I think we move too fast. We don't take the time to be patient and actually hear each other out. We're so ready to explode and respond. We take tone and pitch and certain words within the sentence. We take the structure of someone's paragraph or their statement and reorganize it in our own personal head, and then becomes regurgitated in an entirely different way. So spot on, very spot on with your take. And I am looking at some things a little differently, even for myself, because yeah, I do short stories, and I have my conversations with people as well, and I always say I have to be mindful of what I say to people and what I do and what I upload, and this is confirmation of that as well, because I might not be doing the same thing as the next, but my poems might touch somebody too. So
I'm of the mind that if we do take the time to really understand what we're really trying to communicate, if we take the time to listen to understand where someone is coming from, and we take the time to find out what is it that brought someone to the conclusion they're at, even just taking the time to make that wonder, that wonder of, okay, so someone is acting a fool. I wonder what happened in their life, or what circumstance they encountered that made them feel like this is how they needed to act. I think if we take that time to really truly want to understand someone, it really changes the entire dynamic of the interactions we have with each other, because we begin to humanize each other, and we see each other more than just a set of behaviors or problems that we can't take the time to solve, or even seeing someone as oh, they're doing that because they're supposed to. I mean, that's a great cop out, but how does it really help you connect with another person? And I think the whole point of being a leader is demonstrating your desire to truly understand others and give them a reason to want to follow you. Demonstrate that you understand them. You understand, respect, and value who they are. And because you do that, and because you see that there is greatness in them, what you offer is something that they're going to want, and they're going to want to find out how to get there from you, simply because you took that time.
absolutely, absolutely, it's it can be very delicate and sensitive process when you decide that you're going to be involved with anyone. You have to understand that once you become intertwined with a person, you have responsibilities to present and bring certain intangibles to it in order for it to be nurtured properly. You can't have, well, what happens when you put or you flip two magnets and you try to force them, they're never going to stick. So it's the same thing with this. It's like, why do you call a person your friend, or you attach yourself to someone as your brother or your sister, or you claim that you care, or whatever the case may be, or you fill out that application for the job, if there's nothing there that's going to sustain that relationship or that connection at all? One person wants to do all of the work, the other person wants to reap from the benefits of it. No one wants to actually complement each other in their own unique ways. There has to be a balance. There has to be a level of respect. You have to have walked a certain lifestyle and had the work done internally inside you in order to have these healthy boundaries set and have these relationships be optimal for both of you. It can't be one-sided. If it's one-sided, then I don't know what you're doing there. That's not a friendship. That's not a relationship. That's not love. That's one person benefiting over the other person. Someone's always going to be unhappy. That's not leadership to me either. Especially if
Very
you're
true.
especially if you're the one that's pouring out and pouring out, and the other person is not. Both of you, technically, both of you are irresponsible because you have to respect yourself enough to make sure that we honor each other or we go separate ways, and the other person will, they just don't care at all. They're all about them. In the way that they're thinking, I don't have to do nothing. I'm just going to sit back, relax, and let them cater to me. And whatever you want to apply this metaphor to, those are the people that are always going to be in mess. Both of them are. The only difference is one might come out of it a little bit better versus the other one that's probably going to take longer to figure it out. Both of them are going to suffer, but one person might realize it through the chastisement, through the hardships and the I told you so's, where the other person is going to be a little more stuck in their ways. It's going to take life to crack them over the head a little bit more before they really figure it out. So that's why we're here.
Absolutely. It's I don't know how much time we have, but I definitely want to address something that you had said. In regards to people who do use others for their own benefit, it's easy to call these people evil, narcissistic, whatever you want to use, whatever the term du jour is going to be. The truth of the matter is that these are people who are self-deceived. They have deceived themselves into believing that their authority or their authority exceeds their responsibility, that they have a certain authority to act a certain way, and it should be allowed. And I hate the word should, because the English language is actually one of the few languages that actually uses the words should, could, or would. And there was a great movie that talked about this. It was about a slave ship that found its way to the U.S. and it had to do with the Supreme Court case. So again, it had to do with the Supreme Court case that John Quincy Adams was advocating for, and something that was said was there was this problem that was being had in the deliberations, and one person said what I should have said, and the translator said there's no word in this language for should, because you either do or you don't. And I think those words have been used as scapegoats, and we've self-deceived ourselves to the point where we believe our own crap, and then we justify our actions because we believe that we should be given the kind of respect or the kind of notoriety that we don't actually deserve, but because of our own actions and the fact that we have not been corrected, we tend to believe that this is our reality. And so through that self-deception and justification of our actions, we remain stuck. We stay in a place that we don't move forward, and we leave a trail of destruction in the relationships that we have with others. As far as for Anna Fox's question, yes, I have studied psychology. I have a bachelor's degree in psychology that focuses on trauma. But more importantly, I've spent the last 8 years studying human behavior and understanding why people do what they do, which actually isn't something that psychologists are taught, by the way.
Um, Look, I want to say because I have something that I have to attend to here in a second. I'm glad and very blessed and fortunate that we were able to get through this entire thing, man, fluently. The dialogue, the information has been definitely impactful and spiritually fulfilling to me personally. Um, I thank you for pulling up today, for reaching out to me. I would love to have you on again to continue to have these conversations. Um, if you have any time to, you know, tell the people how they can reach you if they want to check you out a little bit more, you have the floor before we close out.
Sure. You can reach me on Facebook. The easiest way is probably through my page, Rise to Lead. You can find me there. You can find my webpage. It's basically a funnel that you can access a short book that I've written called Rise to Lead at rise2lead.coach. You can also reach me on Instagram, rise.to.lead, or you can email me, jason@relatum.com. I know that has nothing to do with, with Rise to Lead, but it was a previous company that I had done coaching for before I changed my position, my focus. So I've got a lot of assets with Relatum, so I just keep that. But yeah, any one of those ways, feel free to reach out, and I'd be more than happy to interact with you. Um, my friend, I'm so glad to be on this podcast today, and the fact that you decided to have me on, and I would be honored to come back at any time, and would love to continue this conversation as well as have any other conversations that you feel would be enriching for both of us. Um, yeah, I'm more than open to coming back on.
Sounds good. You have my Facebook messenger, man. You can send me your information there. We'll definitely talk here about setting something else up. I do have a couple more lives coming up this week, so um, I'll reach out to you and we'll set something up. But I thank you, man,
Love it.
again for today, for the word. You have a blessed day, brother, and shout out to everybody who pulled up for the conversation today.
I appreciate it. I hope that you have a magnanimous day as well. I hope that your entire week is blessed, and that you have all of your intentions, they blossom into wonderful experiences for you.
Thank you. Thank you. This is Assembly of Excellence signing out. I will see you guys later on this evening. Have a blessed afternoon.